Hello everyone, and it's time for another recipe. Now this is a recipe I did some years back, I realize 5 years ago, for cauliflower wings. So I figured it's time for a revamp because I don't use that recipe anymore. I had found that particular recipe on Peta's site, and talking to a friend of mine at one point because she tried the recipe and she said hers did not turn out well, I realized when I made them they were fine, but you bake them. You coat them and then you bake them. And maybe for some people the baking just doesn't have the same effect of making it nice and crispy. Maybe the exterior is gooey, which is what it sounds like happened with my friend. So honestly, some things are best fried, and this is one of those things. So I have revamped the recipe. I've put my own seasonings, and it changes as I make it sometimes, but I'm going to give you a recipe right now. And we fry this. You can use a deep fryer, but for this I'm going to use a saucepan to show you that you don't need a deep fryer to make it. And what you're going to do is you're going to start with the cauliflower. Now I already made some a couple nights ago, so this is about half of a very large cauliflower. I got it discounted for $1.49, and it made enough for 3 people the other night, and I'm making some more tonight. So you're going to take your cauliflower and you're going to take it and pull off the morsels, like the stems. This is a good size right here. So you're either going to pull off the stems or you're going to cut it into bite-sized pieces. So I'm going to do that and I'm going to be back. One like this, which is pretty large. You can cut it either into 2 pieces or even to 3. I think I'm going to cut this into 3. Okay, so you're going to end up with pieces kind of like this. Pieces that could be the size of a wing. Some might be a little bit bigger, like this one. But just basically bite-sized morsels. And now we're going to create the wet mix, which you're going to use as your dredge to put this in before we do the dry mix. Okay, so now that we have our cauliflower cut up into small bits, it's time to make the dredge. So this is going to be your liquid batter that you're going to coat them with before you put them into another batter, a dry batter, and then deep fry them. So what I have here is 1 cup of flour, and you may need to keep adding to this recipe depending how much you're making, but I start with 1 cup of flour. And typically, guys, you know me, I like to just throw some seasonings in, but for you all, I'm going to measure this out. And I felt this needed a revamp, so this is 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. So I'm going to do, I'm going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of onion salt. The reason why is you're going to be obviously putting some flavor. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. You're going to be putting flavoring into the dry batter. So if you don't have Vegeta seasoning, you can use a vegan chicken stock, which I have and I've used in the past. I'm just new to this and really like the flavor. Or you can put other flavors that you want in here. This is not written in stone. Feel free to sample and try this as you like. So I think for this, I'm going to put half a teaspoon of the Vegeta seasoning in here. Again, I'm adding more flavor to the dry batter. Now, I'm also going to put 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. This can be omitted if you don't have cornstarch or don't want to use cornstarch, but I'm just going to try to use this. I use this to help it to just even be a little, to stick to the cauliflower wings a little bit better. I think so. Okay, so this is, let's give this a mix. You can add black pepper to this if you like. You can add, I sometimes put the cayenne pepper in here, but I'm just going with the basic, and I'm going to flavor up the dry batter. So I'm going to put 1 cup of water. You want to have something like a pancake batter, but a little thinner, not quite as thick. And if you find your batter too thin for your liking, you can always add more water. I would do so a tablespoon at a time. But look, this is turning out just how I like it. Okay, guys, so one other thing I'm going to add to this, and let's do this. You know what? We're going to go for a tablespoon. A tablespoon of the Frank's buffalo wing sauce, or any hot sauce you like. And you know, if you don't want it to be super hot, you don't have to add this, or you can add less. And this is not like the hottest sauce out there. You could make it really hot by putting like jerk seasoning sauce in there or something, but let's not do that. And again, when it comes to the flavoring of your wings, the coating you're going to put on there, you can put some hot sauce, buffalo sauce, vegan honey garlic. So there we go. That's perfect. Okay, now it's time to make the dry mix. So again, I'm starting with 1 cup of flour, and once again, you may need to make more of this depending on how much you're making. Okay, so to this, now's where you can add the different seasonings you like. And you don't have to do what I'm doing, depends on your palate. And it can be sort of neutral-ish in that you're going to be putting your buffalo sauce on top of this, or your, you know, your Louisiana hot sauce, you know, your spicy whatever. But I still like to give the wings themselves flavors, because I always try to nibble 1 or 2 before I even coat them with anything. Okay, so I'm basically kind of using the same things with the exception of a few others. So back to the garlic powder. And I'm once again going to use a teaspoon of garlic powder. Can't have too much garlic powder as far as I'm concerned. Half a teaspoon onion salt. Now if you don't have the vegan chicken stock, you can omit it. Or if you have the Vegeta, use some of the Vegeta sauce. Because I'm going to be flavoring this outside of this, I'm going to be putting sauces on it. I'm going to put half a tablespoon. Again, this doesn't need to be excessively flavorful, but you want it to taste nice. So that's half a tablespoon of that. Got the paprika. We're going to put some black pepper. Now guys, I also tried making some tofu with, you know, there's a recipe or an alleged recipe for KFC chicken, and I made some tofu like that. It was amazing. I might put that up if I haven't yet. So many recipes I've filmed I haven't put up. 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and then you can add your cayenne pepper. I have something here called African cayenne pepper. I find it's not quite as hot as regular cayenne pepper. I'm going to put a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm putting a 1/4 teaspoon, and remember, you can make this hotter with your sauce afterward. Or if you want to add even more to this, you can, and make it even hotter from the jump. So now I'm going to add breadcrumbs to this. Yeah, I think I'm going to just do that. 1 tablespoon of breadcrumbs. And the cornstarch, again, I'm going to do, this time, half a tablespoon of cornstarch. If you don't have a cornstarch, it can be omitted. In my mind, I feel like it helps things stick together a little bit more. Okay, and then you're just going to mix that all together. I mean, if you want to put sage in here, you can. I've added sage before to my tofu nuggets to give it even more chickeny kind of flavor to it. And there you go. Alright, so, as I stated, I'm using a saucepan, and this is, I guess, like a medium-sized saucepan. And you can see I've probably got about 1 inch worth of oil. Just to show you, you do not need a deep fryer. If you have a slatted spoon, that would be ideal. I unfortunately only have plastic slatted spoons, so I can't use that, but I will use this metal one. And I'm just going to show you how we do this. So you're going to take the morsel, you're going to dip it into the wet mixture, then you're going to put it in the dry mixture. You can use your fingers or a fork. I'll get a couple of these ready. And then put them into the fryer. Now, depending on how much you're making, you might need to double this recipe, triple this recipe. It's all going to depend, but this is just my base recipe to get you started. Okay, I'm going to do a 3rd one. Now, typically when I use my deep fryer, I get a number of them coated and then put them into the netting pan. What do you call that thing? and then lower it into the pan, into the netting basket, the netted basket. And because I'm warming this all up at the same time, this does not have that. I'm trying to put a few more. So you could get like a whole bunch done that you can line the bottom of your pan with. I'm gonna just move this over. Okay. Oops. And I have my stove, well, like, it was kind of like a little bit above medium heat. So we're just gonna fry. You can also just use your regular frying pan and just fill it with oil. Okay. So when you do it in a pan like this, just make sure you're turning it to make sure all the sides are getting properly cooked. Okay? I'll be back. Okay, so when you think it is satisfactorily fried, just scoop them out and put into another pan or plate. Now I'm putting them into this bigger pan. You'll see why, because you can just toss it easier. So if you have like a metal bowl or a glass bowl, something else you want to put it in, or you can toss it with your coating. Okay, so basically you're just going to continue until you have them all fried. So I'm going to do that. And if you want to use a deep fryer, this is how you'll do it. I have to admit, it does seem as though they look even better coming out of the deep fryer. You know, you just get to coat them more, but again, you can do it in the saucepan, your frying pan. Just make sure you cook until all sides are evenly coated. And don't these look good? They look like wings, and they are cauliflower wings. Now, I separate them so that I can flavor them in a couple of different ways. Some of them I like to put barbecue sauce, and others I like to put something reminiscent of a honey garlic. Now, I do make some vegan honey. I don't have that recipe up. I'm trying to save that one for the cookbook. But, so I'm using some of this sweet red chili sauce, the Thai sweet red chili sauce. And I'm just going to basically pour it on. Okay? Do it as much as you like. But I want this to be spicy. So I'm also going to, there we go, drizzle on some. This is the Frank's Red Hot Buffalo sauce, but use your Louisiana hot sauce. To me, it's the same thing. And you give it a good toss, and this is how they end up looking. Let me just taste. Okay, so here we have one right here. Delicious. Can you hear that crunch? Crunchy, delicious. Hope you guys try my new revamped recipe. Let me know what you think. And that's all for now, guys. See you in the next video.